he sarcastically said, like, I wish we had something like that here. And in this area, I can 100% hands down say, like, in Twin Falls, Idaho, we have the best laser tag equipment. Then these adults play and they're like, whoa, like they weren't expecting it. So my name's Shanica Teeter, and I live in Kimberly, Idaho, and the company that we run and own is called Tag 'em Up, and we've been in business for about 2 years. I'm one of 4 managers. It's me and my husband, and then my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. We all run and own it together, so it's very family-oriented, and I just do everything from the marketing to, scheduling laser tag events, answering phones, all of that kind of stuff. I take care of a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So it's kind of a funny story. My 7-year-old at the time, we've been in business 2 years, so he's 9 now, but he was actually on YouTube one day, and we don't like our kids to watch a lot of YouTube. Like it's banned in our house, but he was kid being a kid, not listening, whatever, and he came across these laser tag guns, and he was just so like fixated and mesmerized by them, like was watching it like over and over and like watching different videos of these laser tag guns, and we're like, dude, what are you watching? Like, what is this? So my husband got to watching and did some research. He's like, these are like actually really cool. And there's not a lot to do in the area that we're in. There's not a whole lot for families or for kids or anything. And so Lucas, him stumbling upon it, and then he sarcastically said, like, I wish we had something like that here. Like, I wish we had this here. And that's kind of how it all started. So we weren't necessarily looking to like start a business. It wasn't really like a goal right then at the time, but it kind of all just happened. It all just kind of worked out. And so here we are 2 years later. Yeah, he does. Sometimes, running a business as a family, we've got young kids. Like I said, it's my husband and me, and then my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So between 2 of the families, there's 6 kids, and they're all young. And so sometimes it can be a lot, running them from their sporting events or whatever and to doing events. So there is sometimes that like Lucas is not wanting to do it or not wanting to go to an event, which, I mean, I get it. He's a kid. He's 9. But when we're all set up and stuff, somehow, like, the kids who we're doing the event for, they always invite him to play. So he's out there, like, playing with them, and he's loving it. Like, loving every second of it. Like I said, you guys are all we've ever known. And I think, like, the biggest thing, like, the durability and the stability of the equipment, like, it's a pretty penny for this equipment, and, it's all held up really well. We've had kids drop it. We've only ever had to send off one gun to get fixed, one tagger to get fixed, and it was easy. My husband dealt with that. But then I also know he's talked to people, through the chat support or, whatever number that you guys give to text out. And it's been seamless. It's been easy to work with and easy to do. But the equipment, how good it is and how durable it is, that's definitely, if you're starting a business, you want to make sure you have quality stuff. And in this area, I can 100% hands down say, like, in Twin Falls, Idaho, we have the best laser tag equipment. There's nothing else like it. There's a little laser mania thing, it's just dinky little things that, you wear a vest and it's connected to you. Stuff that you would see in an arcade. Like, ours blows it out of the water. Like, we hands down have the best equipment. And so that's something that we're proud of and that we love. And that's what draws people to us more, I think, too. I don't have one that speaks to me specifically. So a lot of the events we do, they're mostly birthday parties. So it's mostly been younger kids. And we're really busy in the summer because it's warm. Because we don't have a building, we don't really do a whole lot in the winter unless there's a building we can go into, just because it's so cold. It's way too cold. But mostly it's been just birthday parties, and we usually just do like team deathmatch. I know it comes with a bunch of pre-made games, like there's zombie mode or there's capture the flag and stuff like that. And we've played around with those, but people usually mostly pick, and it seems like they like the best where it's red team against blue team, and they're just going against each other. We have had a few adults play, and it's crazy because people, they hear laser tag and they think, oh, it's just like for little kids, or, it's something stupid or whatever. But then these adults play and they're like, whoa, like they weren't expecting it, the recoil of the guns and all of that. Like they really don't know what they're getting until they try it. So that's been like fun to watch too, because people think they know what it is and then they actually do it for themselves. And adults have just as much fun as kids. My dad is 64, and the first year that we were in business, so he was 62 at the time, the first year we were in business, like he loved it. He was out there running around with his grandkids, having just as much fun as the kids were. So we love that it's it's super family friendly and family oriented. We don't have any other employees just because, like I said, we're still in the beginning years, in the beginning phase of our business. And so we can't really afford to hire any employees, but right now, we can make sure it's manned and ran as smoothly as possible with just the four of us. Obviously, like I said, bigger picture, we want to be in a building. So once we're in a building, we know we're going to have to hire people out to, run it for us while we, still manage it and whatnot. It's been going really good for us. And a lot of people like that, like I said, there's nothing really in this area. So they're like, oh, you're mobile? That's what draws people the most. And then, they see our equipment and they're just like blown away by it all. So like I said, we started because my 7-year-old at the time, came across the equipment and stuff on YouTube and, said he wished that we had something here. And so it's like, we kind of just took the idea and honestly ran with it. I mean, once we decided we were doing it, it felt like everything happened so fast. It was just boom, 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 boom. As far as like getting the business license and coming up with the logo and the brand, like it all just happened. It was probably all said and done within 6 to 8 weeks. Everything just happened so fast. And I would say the biggest thing we've learned, at least that I've learned, is it's a marathon. It's not a race. Running a business, we're not going to see success day one. Said we're only 2 years in. It's going to take time, and it will all pay off. It's a growing pain. It's a learning process. We've got some really good days. There's some days that aren't as great, but it's a marathon. It's not a race. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we've learned is to just keep going. Don't give up when the times get hard. Just keep going, and we will be where we want to be eventually. Yeah, so, like I said, my husband, anytime we've had an issue with the gun or, when we were setting up the equipment, making sure, we had everything set up right and everything was running smoothly. I know he was mostly talking with you guys. He's kind of taken on that role. He's kind of the brains of, as far as like the equipment, when something's not working, we go to him to figure it out just because, he has spent a lot of time researching it and making sure, he knows the guns, I can say, better than any of us four. He knows the guns inside and out better. And, so when he needs help with something, he is reaching out. We've had a couple of our tigers dropped. And so we had to just get 2 of the triggers fixed. And so he was in contact with you guys and you guys let us know where to send him off and all of that. But he usually does all that. But the support, he's always gotten an answer, within a reasonable, it's not like, he emailed a week ago and we haven't heard anything. Like, you guys are fairly quick to answer and fairly quick to help your customers resolve their issues. And so I know he's been pleased with that as well. Right now, our biggest platform is definitely Facebook. We use that a lot. We've dipped our toes, into TikTok a little bit. Not TikTok as in making the videos, but we've been posting a little bit about our business on TikTok. But Facebook is our biggest marketing platform that we use right now. We have done some radio advertising in the past. It all comes down to money. You know, how we're running our business, you know, we just don't want to start a business and be thousands of dollars in debt. And so, you know, we're not, you know, constantly paying to have this done or paying to have that done. You know, we want to kind of keep our debt ratio small so that when we do blow up, it's not like, well, now we've got all this debt to pay, or, you know, don't want to be overwhelmed by that sense of like, yeah, our business credit card is $200,000. Like, we're never going to get out of debt. And so we're kind of, like I said, it's a marathon. It's not a race. So we're just kind of taking it slow. So we're doing what we can, you know, every now and then, if we think that this will really help our business, we'll go ahead and pay for something. But for now, you know, just we've talked to other small business owners and kind of, you know, like what they do. And, you know, we've been really blessed with people who share advice and give us tips and tricks on maybe things to do or what to try when you're first starting your business. So Facebook, because it's free, that's what we do. We also use Google. You know, we do pay for Google, and we do have a website that we do pay for because, you know, that's a must in the business. You can't run a business and not have a website or anything. And so there are certain things that we pay for, and it's, you know, a monthly charge, but, you know, we're not going out every day and having 5,000 billboards put up or, you know, being on the radio 24/7. We're cutting back where we can until we're in a better spot financially. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I could definitely see, you know, like I said, we're not in a building, but once we're in a building, I could see our business just boom. And like I said, there's not a lot in this area. So you're bringing something else to this area. People are going to try it. They're going to be excited about it, you know, and it's all just a matter of, you know, getting out there and making your business known. But there's definitely, I think anywhere you go, there's always a need for something for kids. The world is constantly growing and, you know, overpopulating, whatever. And so there's always a need for something. And, you know, not everyone's into games. You know, a lot of people like being active and like doing different things. I know for my family, they're, you know, somewhere in between. You know, my husband, he's a major runner, and so are my in-laws running, but they also like the video game aspect of too. But I think if they had to only pick one, they would most definitely pick the active side of doing something rather than just sitting. And so, yeah, it's good. Owning a small business, it's definitely a learning curve. And I, you know, like I said, I feel like it happened for us so fast. It takes a lot of time. You've got to devote a lot of time to it. I don't think you can successfully run a business and never be there. And with us, you know, that's not the case. We're all there. We're all putting in the time. It's not like we just own this business, but we're not there running it, making sure it's running smooth. So you've got to be able to be devoted to your business. And then as far as everything else, you know, I would say sit down and really think about your goals and what you want for your business, whether that be, you know, equipment. If you want the top of the line equipment, you know, think about everything like that and just do your own research, really. I think it's going to be different for everybody. You know, I'm a firm believer in you get what you pay for. So these guns, they're about $1,000 a piece or $900 a piece. But at the same time, like, they're top of the line quality. You know, if we paid $50 per gun, we could expect to have a lot of problems. And so, you know, I do believe, you know, it's an investment. Starting your own business is an investment, and you get what you pay for. So we've not had very many issues with these guns, you know, and I'm glad because we paid $900 per gun, you know, and we've got quite a few of them. So, you know, it's the quality of stuff. You've got to think about that when you're starting your business. If you're trying to go cheap, I think you can expect more problems in the future, which is in turn going to cost you more money because you have to keep sending it off to get fixed, right? So that's kind of what I think. The dream would be to, one, you know, wake up and not have to go to work. Someone's doing the work for me. That's, you know, that's the goal. That's the dream. But, you know, yeah, bigger picture, you know, like I said, eventually we want to be in a building and to have this be like, not necessarily arcade, well, maybe kind of arcade type where, you know, there's different attractions you can do. So maybe we'll have go-karts in there with the laser tag and just some other things that you can do. Super family friendly, something that'll be available year round. Like, that's the goal. But we will always keep the mobile part of it, so that we're running our business during the day, have normal operating business hours. But someone wants there's a family reunion, 3 hours away, we can take our equipment or, take part of our crew and go and do this family reunion while this over here is still being ran and operated. That's the bigger picture. That's the goal. And, one day, to work for myself, to be able to work for ourselves. Right now, all of us, we all have our business, we have the business, but then we all work a job because the business isn't paying our bills yet. And so that is the goal, to get the business to pay our bills one day and travel the world and, do all of that.